Mhm. And Brendon, I just want to do a little bit of a word association, and then if you have a little anecdote about that particular person, feel free to just run with it. It's less so about their on field, but more just as a holistic thing. So Ray Lewis.
Man, passionate. And obviously that's the obvious word that comes to mind, but maybe people think inspirational. But he has a lot of things that he loves and he believes in that you wouldn't know. And so we would be flying to any game or before a game, and I'd sit next to Ray as we would fly. And even for home games, we drive to home games together. And he would talk to Steve McNair's mom before every single game. And, tragedy happened with Steve McNair. He was murdered, and we lost him way too soon. And so he would talk to Steve McNair's mom before every game. And then he knows all the statistics about domestic violence against women, not just in the United States, but also world. And so you'd be sitting there. He's like, that every 8 seconds a woman's being beat up by, her significant other in the United States. And it's you just wouldn't think that those were the conversations that we would be having, taking off before a flight or leading up to a game, so just a super passionate person and compassionate as well, and a loving dad. He's got a bunch of kids. His kids would always be around, or he's at his kids' games and whatnot. So he was inspirational for me, as a father leading up. And when I met him, I only had one kid. I got 3 kids now. So I take some of my Ray Lewis-isms and apply them to the kids.
That's brilliant. And I hear you do a really good impersonation of him. Can you give us any of that right now?
I can't do any impersonations right now just because I haven't been around Ray in so long. But
right.
If I talk to him one time on the phone, all of a sudden it would all come back to me.
All right. Well, we'll save that for a rainy day, I think.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Ed Reed.
Man, Ed Reed. He is a perfectionist, and you wouldn't think about it, but some of the littlest things upset him the most. And so in our locker room, like if the locker room wasn't clean, he'd be upset. And of course, we have people in there that are cleaning the locker room, but for him, it's like, no, it's like if you drop the towel or you left the soap bar, it's up to you, to treat this locker room like you treat your house. So one day he called a team meeting and he kicked all the coaches out of the team meeting, and it was all about hygiene and keeping the locker room clean. And he's like, if you can't keep the locker room clean, how are you going to win a football game? So it was pretty funny, but he was dead serious about it. So now when I see him going on his rants on Instagram, he's got like, he mows his own lawn, or he's spying on deer that are in the field, or he's, talking about his cigars or whatever. I totally get it and understand it.
That's brilliant. He'd be good now during this whole COVID time. Imagine having him keeping the hygiene.
Yeah, well, he puts every time not every time, but when he's taking his COVID test, he puts it on. He's like, I'm taking a COVID test, and he does the whole, the whole scenario. But that's good because it leads other people to going and getting tested, and not being afraid of getting that test. So,
and that's important. Terrell Suggs.
Man, sizzle. No filter, man. No filter. That dude, he'll blurt anything out. He'll blurt anything out. He'll say anything, but he's a movie savant. So he knows lines from every movie, and he's gone to Cannes, and he goes to music festivals. There's one in Utah that's a big one here, but he's big into the movie business, and I think that's what he wants to do when he's done playing. He wants to be a producer or a writer. And so he's just unfiltered. But if you want to be a writer or a producer, right, I guess you kind of got to have that. He's got it for sure. Yeah.
And final one on this word association, Joe Flacco.
Flacco. Man, what can I say about Joe? He's pretty quiet. He's a pretty quiet guy. I think obviously he came into the league. He was a rookie, and I was his they would assign a veteran player to kind of be the mentor of rookies. And I was kind of his mentor. Like obviously I'm not going to show him how to play quarterback, but like we had to meet once a week for 30 minutes, I had him and this other guy named Haruki Nakamura. They both came in together, and I was their kind of their senior player that they would, they'd be like my little buddies.
Yeah.
But but by the time I left the league, he was in his 5th year. He was married, kids, and now he's got even more kids. And he's in his he's in his double-digit years. I think he's in year 12 now or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's just great to see him going from a quiet rookie that wasn't even supposed to start until somebody got injured. Actually, the two quarterbacks ahead of him, he was third string, even as I believe he was a first-round draft pick, maybe. But for whatever happened, the players in front of him both got hurt. He ended up starting. And we had a great season that year. We had a really good year. I think we went all the way to the maybe we went to the AFC Championship game or the divisional game. I think we did go to the AFC Championship game. But he was super quiet, and then now just he just blossomed into a great leader and a really good, strong quarterback. Especially the year we won the Super Bowl, you could attribute a lot of the win to his chemistry with the tight ends and with the receivers and just running that offense. I mean, he was unstoppable come playoff time.
Can I go one more and go Coach Harbaugh? Because I'm really interested.
Harbs.
Yeah, here
Harbs. We go. One word for Harbs. I would say innovative.
Right.
And the reason why is because he wants to look at studies. He wants to look at things he can do within the rules of the game to give you an advantage. So one thing we did is when we flew to Denver to play in that AFC divisional game, he wanted us there less than 24 hours. He wanted to get us there as late as possible, play the game, and then get us out, because studies had shown that if the more time you spent at high altitude in Denver, Mile High Stadium and all that, that your oxygen levels go down. So if you go there early, then you're giving yourself a disadvantage. If you go there late, then your oxygen levels aren't going to change within that 24-hour window. And so he would do all kinds of cool stuff like that. And he'd find, he implemented the whole buddy system, where you have kind of a mentor, older veteran player to mentor the younger players. But the Ravens called me recently to do a study, and it was a self-analysis on what it means to be a Raven. And they only asked like 50 Ravens in all their history of the organization. I would say the organization is probably 25 years old now. I'm just guessing. But they only picked 50 players, and I was honored to be one of them. And what it means to be a Raven, I'm sure that self-analysis, that study, he was probably the brainchild of that. So he's always innovating and always thinking of the best ways to get the most out of the players, and also have the organization innovate so they can create great men as well as great football players.